The Working for Wolves crew was here last weekend, and as with all of our projects, we have a lot to do while we're here. One of the big priorities was, again, visual barriers to try to help the retired pack, again, not be so much of the focus of the main pack, and so Malik's been dealing with that since November in his retirement. They also helped clean out, this is the pack holding area that you're looking at here. Basically, this is where the wolves, and there's Grizzer, hey Grizz. This is where the wolves can go from the exhibit pack through the pack holding area, and actually they get drawn off here pretty much every Saturday night for feeding. And this is also our puppy pen. Every 4 years we raise puppies in here. But this pack holding area connects directly through a chute system to the retired pack. So this particular wood fence, again, was installed and stained as part of Malik's project. We did invest over $2,000 in materials to try to get Malik a little bit more comfort and try to get these visual barriers set up so that, again, the pack doesn't focus so much on the retired village. And so Working for Wolves crew did a little bit of cleanup in here. Grizzer has a tendency to be chewing on a lot of branches, so we got a lot of the dead fall out and got that cleaned up. And so that's what you're looking at here, is just basically vegetation. We try to keep the pens as protected as possible from the standpoint of debris out of the way so the wolves aren't tripping on it, but we want to make sure that we leave enough vegetation so it does serve a purpose when the pups are in here, of a nice cool place to go, and that the adults again have another place if we need to hold off the adults for any work or anything like that. They'll be brought into this enclosure. So this fence panel was one priority. Other fencing issues, again, this is what's called kind of a holding kennel. Basically, it's a very small area. If we do need a medical reason for an animal to be moved in there, it is available. The crew did put up, again, some wood panels for visual barriers. Behind this panel that you're looking at right here is a little vestibule. You know, again, as we move forward in a possible transition of shadow to retirement, we've got to be able to move out individual animals so we can separate out who we want, and like say specifically Shadow or you know, if we want to get Grizzer and Denali out of the way, we can use these small little areas to hold wolves off as we move them around. And again, we want to just protect wolves psychologically, get a lot of protection from having a barrier fence or something that, you know, kind of keeps them from feeling vulnerable. I like to have their backs covered, so if I do have wolves in a certain area, I want to be able to give them a visual block from the other wolves. So that's a big project for the Working for Wolves crew. This, what you're looking at, is the back side of Malik's enclosure, so it goes all the way down over 100 feet on the other side of the retired wall. But this is something, actually, I had put this visual barrier up shortly after him being retired. He was very vulnerable and very keyed in. The main pack is directly across from the vegetation, so they were running the fence line, kind of agitating him. As soon as this wood wall went up, and even just temporarily in November, he was much more relaxed. He was able to lay down in the den. He didn't feel like he was so vulnerable that the other pack members were kind of monitoring him. So the Working for Wolves crew basically painted this up and got it to the point where it's weather protected, and so that was a big job, trying to get that entire length of fence wall. We had mounted it prior to the working crew, and they did the staining of it. So you can see a lot of energy, a lot of resources, a lot of time going in to make sure that the psychological needs of the wolves are met. Okay, now we're in Malik's enclosure, and he's going to come over and see what I'm up to here. One of the other things that the wolf care staff actually worked inside when Malik was in here, and so they we didn't have participants in with Malik. He had a little bit of a stressful time already with people around the pen, and we certainly weren't going to cause him more anxiety by moving him out of the pen to do work. But basically, the crew of wolf care staff people who were working got rid of all his winter straw, gave him new cedar and wood chips. We use cedar and wood, or cedar chips, because it does have a little bit of natural bug repellent, and so that works out pretty well. So his den here has got a new batch of cedar. You'll probably see his view from the webcam on top of that den. It is a nice platform for him to be able to interact on. And so the other things that the crew did is on the back side, well, one other thing, filled the pond. Malik's pond's quite a bit different than the main pack. It does not have an electrical source to allow for a filtered system or water pumping. So Malik's pen needs to be cleaned, or his pond needs to be cleaned quite a bit more. And so when we put water in it, it might be a week or two that we're draining it again and just kind of scrubbing it and keeping it clean. He doesn't mind, he likes it. Temperatures here in Ely are in the 80s for May. That's almost unheard of. And so again, you can see by Malik's coat here, he has not really lost his winter coat. He's starting to shed on his legs. You'll see where his leg hair are pretty much shed out, but the rest of his body definitely requires some work, and you'll actually see some footage of the wolf care staff doing a little bit of brushing to get rid of that winter coat because it is so extremely warm. So again, the pond was filled. That was a big part of the wolf care staff's job on the Working for Wolves weekend. The other thing that we were encountering, we had a couple of situations where at night, and we have a surveillance video camera on Malik 24 hours a day. It has an infrared capability, so it does pick up later, low light conditions, and Ann Raspberry had donated those to us, so we really appreciate that. And we wanted to make sure that we can kind of keep an eye on what happens when he gets up, what causes him stress if he is under stress. And we saw 3 or 4 times in the last month where he was up at 2 in the morning and a security light was coming on the back side of the enclosure. And prior to that, we just had chain link on the back side. And so what we did, I was gone, the Working for Wolves crew hung some pre-made panels, again visual barrier panels, that are on the back side of the pen. And that's, believe it or not, it makes a big difference for Malik. The fact that he's kind of more protected. There's a little bit of that sense that he's not as visible, he's not as vulnerable, makes him feel more comfortable. And you actually see him in the back there. He's got a beaver cache that he's been working on. And so that was a big part of the job. Again, you're trying to hang square panels on a fence that runs downhill and is off angle and trying to mount it to posts, etc. It works out well. It's an extremely difficult task, and the crew got it done without any trouble. So Malik is, again, you can just tell by how his comfort level, he's much more relaxed. And he did have a couple of tough days after the work crew finished. He had a tough day on Monday, just expressing a little anxiety from being, around people. But as you can see today, he's extremely relaxed. He's got his back to that wall, which is a good indication that as a wolf, he feels very protected, he feels very comfortable, and now basically all sides of his enclosure, except the entrance side to the gate, is protected, or is got a visual barrier, so he does not feel surrounded. And that's made all the difference in the world for him. Again, the weather is kind of hot, so we keep him, let him relax and stay down. Hey, Malik. Let him stay down for the day. Malik's wondering what I'm up to. And now it's about probably 4:30 in the afternoon. It's still in the 70s, but it's enough where the air temperature is starting to cool off and he can be active, he can be up without panting too much. So that's what the Working for Wolves crew did. Again, extremely thankful to those people who are willing to give up their time, energy, resources. Many of them, again, recognizing that tools are not exactly a strong point of a nonprofit organization. So oftentimes they bring their own tools, or when we really don't have what we need, they buy tools for us. And so we really are appreciative of that. But again, just the benefit to Malik, we just cannot express our gratefulness for people willing to help and willing to help make his life better as he's transitioned here in retirement, and he's done extremely well in the transition. As you heard from the podcast and we've talked about in the logs, Shadow's retirement is likely going to happen sometime in the next upcoming, we definitely know in the upcoming year, but even sooner than that possibly. And we wanted to make sure that this was ready. This was new. We're not going to do any work once those two are together. We wanted them to get back into the swing of being litter mates again and to interact with each other. So we wanted to make sure everything was done, everything was calm, and everything was secure before we made that transition of Shadow into retirement. So that's a summary of the Working for Wolves crew. Malik, anything you want to add? No? Not really? Just wondering what I'm doing. So the next portion you're going to view is actually one of the things that we do. Obviously, wolf care is not out about behavioral observations and picking up scat, which we do a lot of, but it's about medical care, and we're going to show a few clips of some of the vaccinations that occurred this morning. As a policy, we typically don't have wolf care staff interacting with the wolves on video, and our reasoning is that people watch a video and think, oh, that looks easy, without comprehending at all the complexity of these animals and the difficulty that trained staff have with the animals. So we certainly don't want to give people the wrong perception, but we do want people to understand that we are obligated to these animals. We care for them to the best of our management abilities, and that means doing vaccinations. And on a day like today, when it's 80 degrees and the wolves haven't even begun to start shedding, we will initiate their shedding process by trying to do a little bit of brushing to loosen up their hair. Again, you'll see a little bit of that footage of the wolf care staff brushing, trying to get some of that shedding started. It is not an easy task. Wolves do what they want to do when they want to do it. It's, again, a socialized exhibit. We try to manage them so that we can maintain their physical care and do a lot of hands-on work. But the reality is they're wolves. They choose to allow us to do what they want to do when they want to do it. But if they don't want something done, they will not participate in the endeavor. So there's definitely quite a bit of difference in working with wolves than some people believe. And so again, you'll take a look at a little bit of that footage, and hopefully you'll enjoy seeing the struggles. We left a little bit of footage of some dominance. Anytime something's different, and that's one key thing about stress with wolves, you change the routine, you introduce stress. You put strangers behind the scenes, you introduce stress. For the vaccination day, all it took was a couple of times, the first couple of shots where the wolves were different, the wolves felt like they were being restrained. That built up tensions, and we had a little bit of release of tension. So you're going to see some fairly intense dominance around the vaccinations, and I'll again include that. I'm not editing out the wolf care staff audio. Again, there were people filming while the wolf care staff were talking, so there was definitely everything that we do medically. We always have 3 or 4 staff people available to make sure that we can cover what we need. So we'll take a look at that footage and hopefully enjoy it. So the International Wolf Center, again, is a non-profit organization. It is membership driven, and all the support of members goes to help our educational mission to teach the world about wolves. I'm here in the exhibit pack right now. Again, it's later in the day, so it's cooling off a bit. The pack's going to get up and do a rally. And we have Aiden and Maya doing a little greeting there, tail wagging, social greeting. Aiden's not so sure about how social she is, so he's going to give her a little snarl, but she's taking it in stride. Aiden's going to go over and greet Denali. It's actually doing what's called a standover. A standover is when a wolf wants to assert some dominance over another wolf and just stands on top of them. So that's actually quite a little interesting interaction there, and Denali's putting up with it, but certainly Aiden's something to watch. I mean, life can change. Shadow's coming in there for a tail wagging and a greeting, and going to do a pack rally. He's getting some submissive interaction from Aiden. Lots of social interaction. There's Maya doing she's doing a dominance, a growl over Denali, and got him to physically roll over. That's a little bit different than this morning, where Denali almost knocked her over this morning when we were giving vaccinations. So again, Denali seems to be doing pretty well. One of the things you'll see is, again, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. 21 of those years we've had wolves here on site, and so we're have a long history of doing wolf care and wolf management, and so we certainly are supportive of all the people who log into the wolf logs, to the podcast, to these YouTubes, and really get an appreciation of the wolf education we're trying to do here. And we do have kind of a goal this summer. In honor of the 25th anniversary, we're hoping to acquire 2,500 new members. So if you're not a member and would like to join, certainly check on our website at www.wolf.org and follow the tabs to new members, and you can help support Grizzer's food habit. And here's Grizzer right now. He needs food. So again, thanks for watching, and hopefully, like I say, you'll enjoy the little bit of our working footage of doing vaccinations. That was a challenge this morning, but it's certainly a high priority for us to make sure that the wolves are well taken care of. And just going to finish up here with Aiden, Denali, and Maya. All going to lay down in front of the exhibit. We have observation windows right here, so there's the center is open to the public right now. So there are people right next to the windows watching. And overall, a fairly relaxed day. The warmer it is, the more relaxed the wolves are, and that relaxation is more out of necessity. These guys do not have sweat glands like humans, so when it gets hot, their hair is covering their body. It doesn't allow them to cool themselves, so when it gets hot, what they do is stay cool by staying inactive. And they start getting up at this time of the day, kind of more of that nocturnal behavior. So, again, Maya's just doing a little assertion over to Nally, and Aiden's a little nervous, not quite trusting Amaya just yet. That's Aiden's vocalization. Aiden makes a lot of noise. You know when he's around and when he's having a little stress. Just for our use. Vaccinate myself with part. Oh yeah, things are really calming down. That's what I wrote in my plan. What? Stop. So Aiden or Denali had her down?
Yeah. She fell with Aiden.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I think she got a little more amped up. You're just going up the hill.
He's like, get out.
Chris read the retirement plan. He's like, I'll go. You gotta take somebody, I'll go.
You're looking for volunteers, man.
Okay.
Only one done that's Denali, right?
Started doing him when that all
Yeah, I gotta finish it.
Okay. How can we distract Maya?
Okay. Banger. I can't help it. Hey, Brandy. That's the neck I need. We are done.